Yo, I'm going to be going through some of the changes in the latest Battlefront update. So it's around 2.5 gigs, and the main changes that we're going to see are changes to arcade. We've got some added maps there: Kashyyyk, Hoth, Endor, Crate, Jakku, and Death Star 2. Another massive change is going to be the new game mode, which is called Cargo Jetpack. It's going to be fast-paced, there's going to be jets and rockets, and it's only available for a limited time, so get in there and try that out. And then another significant change is going to be to the dodging. So when the characters roll to try and get away from lightsaber wielding heroes, that's had some changes. And then I'm going to go through some of the big hero changes in this patch. So Boba Fett has got increased maneuverability. His efficiency at a distance with the EE3 blaster is hopefully going to be a lot better now. People that might have been having trouble aiming while flying and getting, accurate hits with that. So they've increased his maneuverability of the jetpack, and they've also reduced the minimum dispersion angle of his EE3 blaster. Okay, and what else? They've increased the end damage of his blaster from 20 to 25, and they've increased the damage drop-off start distance from 15 to 20 meters. So overall, that should be a little bit easier to use. They did also make a change to his jetpack. If you used your ability when it was out of fuel, you weren't even able to fly away. So now, even if there's no fuel in it left and you activate that middle ability, you'll be able to fly away. Iden Versio, her stun gun was pretty difficult to predict, so they've made it a bit snappier, and there should be a significant improvement to her. They did reduce the damage from 40 to 50, but overall that's a little bit of a tweak. Bosk, his Rilby V10 weapon has been reduced the recoil from 5 down to 2.2, so almost half of what it was, and they've also changed the animation for him for that recoil. The explosive traps, the damage has been reduced from 80 down to 76 per trap, and the multi-trap, they fixed the blast damage radius to fit the star card's numbers. With Rey, her mind control, they've reduced the mind control radius from 20 down to 18 meters, and they've made changes to her insight ability as well. They've reduced the insight radius from 50 down to 30. Her Farsight reduced the bonus from 10%, and that's for all of her star card upgrades, 10, 20, 30 and 40% respectively, if you upgrade them. With Kylo Ren, his pull, they've reduced the recharge time from 25 to 20 seconds to be able to get in and use that ability a little bit more. The freeze, they're reducing the freeze recharge time from 25 to 24 seconds, so not a big change there. Kylo Ren now has 40% damage absorption while Frenzy is active as well. Now there should be some big changes to Luke Skywalker. Hopefully he'll be a little bit more fun to use now. And this is a quote from DICE, they've increased his sprint speed as much as possible without breaking the animation. So hopefully he'll be able to traverse a little faster. And, sort of like the Battlefront 2015 Luke that we had. They've increased his health as well by 50, so from 70 to 50 at baseline. They've increased the health regeneration rate from 50 to 110, so he's getting a pretty big buff. They've decreased the regeneration delay from 5 to 2.7, and they've increased the max regeneration amount from 250 to 200. So they've decreased the regeneration. Emperor Palpatine, in my opinion, probably not nerfed enough, but I'll explain what they've done. So both abilities will no longer go through obstacles and walls. So obviously that's his Dark Aurora and his Lightning ability. Obviously they had to fix that, but that's pretty much all they've done, in addition to increasing the reach of the ability from 12 to 14. So all they did really was take away the ability is going through walls, and then they've increased the base length or the distance that he can use his lightning ability anyway, and you can upgrade that with star cards. Chewbacca's, he's got a stun grenade which had one of the longest stuns in the game out of all the heroes, so they've reduced the shock time from 1.6 down to 1, so that definitely needed to happen. That can also be upgraded with star cards though. Reduce the bowcaster side of projectiles explosive damage from 25 down to 21. And they've reduced the bowcaster side projectiles from explosive damage of 12 down to 10. So overall his bowcaster got a nerf, and his stun grenade no longer is nearly as long as it was. Yoda, so changes to his barrier ability that will now break immobilizing effects upon its activation. So if you're immobilized as Yoda and you use that ability, it'll automatically shut that out. His lightsaber has increased damage from 80 to 115, so that's a pretty big increase. Hopefully he'll be a little bit more powerful now. And then there's a couple of other changes to his Unleash ability. Lando Calrissian, they've increased his effectiveness against the lightsaber users. So mainly to do that, they've reduced his recharge time of Disruptor from 25 down to 19 seconds. But they've also changed his smoke grenade time from 15 to 14 seconds. Not a big change to him. Darth Vader, so they've changed his choke and how it works. Basically to try and, in an effort to make Darth Vader a little bit more tanky. But that's what they say in the patch notes. They've also reduced his max health from 900 to 800, which probably needed to happen, but that definitely reduces his tankiness. So his Focus Rage now receives 200 temporary bonus health when activating the Focus Rage ability. With Phasma, they've made changes to her staff, which now deals... it feels faster and more fluid when used. So they've increased the animation speed, and they've increased the transition speed between each of her strikes. Not many changes. So there's been a bunch of heroes and villain bug fixes, to name a few of them. The maximum stun duration is now 5 seconds, so you're not going to get stunned for any more than that. Yeah, there's a bunch here, you can have a look. They're all relatively small. Classes, special units, and infantry combat. Obviously the dodge ability that's been fixed, well, I don't know if it's been fixed, but they've changed it. So details on that is basically they've added what they're calling an unstaggerable window duration, which is a set time where you can dodge. So you have to see how it works, but obviously you'll receive the same benefits in that window, but now you just have a narrower time in which you'll be able to gain those benefits. So it might take some getting used to. It still could be a useful tool. You just need to time your rolls a little bit better and predict the attacks to use it efficiently. The troopers now receive 2 default emotes, so if you haven't unlocked any, you'll have a couple there. This is a really good one, the heavy supercharged sentry. So in the last patch they heavily nerfed that, and they've said now they've reverted the heat per bullet tweak that they made for the last patch, from 0.17 to 0.15, and it doesn't sound like much, but in the last patch it was ridiculous. It overheats really fast, so that's definitely a well-received change. They've made a couple of changes to the blurg as well, which they changed in the last patch. Lowered the start damage from 37 to 35 and the end damage from 20 to 16. There's a couple more changes to the classes, but they're all relatively small. The milestones, so with the milestones, the achievements, they've changed a couple of things in the main menus, where the ones that you've already completed will be down the bottom and the ones you haven't will be up the top. They also claim automatically upon completion. You don't have to go in there and press on them.
This isn't so bad.
There's been some location and design balance changes. So Camino, Tatooine, Hoth, Naboo and Andor all received balance changes. Mainly these are going to be things like on attacking sides, when it was really hard for attacking sides to progress. They've made changes to spawns and cover, as well as different areas or different access points, stuff like that. So they've generally made that easier for attackers or easier for defenders, depending on which way it needed to go. Location designs and bug fixes, there's a bunch of them, but they're all relatively small. There's general improvements and bug fixes. So like increased credit payout for duplicate items. That's kind of good, because when you've been grinding this game and you get duplicate items all the time, you just feel like you're wasting credits only to get, you know, a couple of crafting parts. They fixed an issue with the camera that would enter like a shaky, bad state when you're a target of Darth Vader's choke. So hopefully that's been sorted out. They fixed an issue where Darth Vader would not take damage from Luke Skywalker's push ability if he was standing near a wall. Fixed an issue where players would not receive a score for grenade kills after their character had died. And fixed an issue where players could survive when knocked down from a platform in Heroes and Villains. So if you ever ended up at the bottom of the map, especially if you were a target and you just waited there until your team you know, took out the opposition target, yeah, hopefully that's not going to happen anymore. There's various other bug fixes in Arcade, and obviously the UI improvements for Arcade as well. Yeah, so hopefully we can enjoy this patch, and we'll get into it. Thanks for watching.